Caleb's got bags, and he's running on Skittles.
It's true. I had no energy, and I pounded a packet of Skittles. Because
Show everyone how you pounded those Skittles.
So I tore it open long ways like that, and then I just...
Get in my belly!
Just did it like a shot.
So tasty.
I could never do that.
Really?
The texture of Skittles, I just couldn't do that.
No, what you do is you just chew
them. You didn't swallow them whole, did you?
No. What you do is you just chew them up into like a big gumball, essentially, and then you just chew on that for like 3 or 4 minutes.
That sounds
big ball
absolutely disgusting.
It's delicious.
Probably
try it.
That sounds disgusting, Caleb.
You can...
Welcome to Access Sports Weekly here on AccessWDUN.com. Caleb Hutchins to the left of me today, and behind the camera and in front of his own little camera, Seth Chapman. Hello, fellas. How are you today?
This is the first time in like 3 weeks we've had like the full setup, because remember last week we didn't have Seth on camera for the end of the show.
Yeah, that's right.
And then 2 weeks ago I was at home. So this is the first time in a while we've had like the full setup.
And the big thing is I actually opened the show correctly this week with one take.
Yeah, good job. Let's round of applause for Bo.
Thank you. I got the
Caleb,
names right.
Help assist me in the round of applause.
Yeah, a round of the applause.
For Bo.
Hey, you forgot your mic.
Because I turned it off because I thought I was done talking. Then I was like, I'm not done talking.
Please bump that audio so that people can hear you missing the microphone.
Yeah, please do.
I probably will.
All right, guys. High school football, we keep rolling into it. Week number 9 behind us now. And any surprises to anybody in this room from week number 9?
Well, I can think of one big one off the top of my head, and that was what Habersham Central did, beating Lanier last week. And not just beating them, but beating them by 21 points. I don't think a lot of people saw Habersham winning, and I certainly don't think anybody saw them winning the way they did. And it was their defense, really. If you had told me that Habersham Central was going to beat Lanier, I would have said, well, they probably got into a shootout with them, and they won 40-something to 30-something. But no, their defense had Lanier totally locked down, and interception after interception after interception, and just kind of slowly drained the life out of Lanier in that ball game. And Josh Pickett had the big touchdown run at the end that kind of broke it. But that really changes things in 8-6A, because all of a sudden now, unless Lanier can upset Buford this week, they're kind of out of the region title hunt. And so it really does come down to Buford and Decula at the end of the year. And Habersham Central, I don't think they can clinch the playoffs this week, but they're almost guaranteed a spot in, you would have to think, at this point now.
Well, you're talking about region playoffs. Buford-Lanier, game's been moved to Saturday. I don't know if that's going to have an effect on anything, anywhere, other than the fact I think Lanier is dealing with some COVID issues, and that's the reason the game was pushed to Saturday. So they play that game at 12:30 on Saturday. We hear all the time about kicking off at 11 a.m. in college football. Does a 12:30 kickoff in that game favor anybody?
I really don't know that it does favor anybody, because it is a Saturday. Mm-hmm. If it was a 12:30 on a Friday or a Thursday or something, it would be different. But because it's a 12:30 kick on a Saturday, I think both teams are going to be pretty rested up. I mean, we see this in state championship games. We've seen this in games where teams have to share stadiums and sometimes they have to kick off really early. So it's happened in high school football. I don't think it's really going to favor one team over the other. If anything at all, it might favor Buford a little bit, just because a 12:30 atmosphere is not going to be as intense as a 7:30 atmosphere, which means the home field advantage for Lanier is not going to be probably as strong as it would be for a night game. But otherwise, no, I don't really see a real advantage either way.
So Gainesville rolls into South Forsyth down in Cumming, and their defense, Gainesville's defense, which we all knew had the capability. They have the team speed. They have the players. They have the ability. And when they put it all together like they did on Friday against South Forsyth, the number 2 offense in Class 7A, wow, 28-14, and South didn't score till late in the first quarter. So Gainesville's defense showed up, and they were going up against a really good offense with a 6'7". He was listed as a tight end, but he split out most of the game, and the McLaughlin kid. And granted, he had 200 yards receiving, but Gainesville's defense held them out of the end zone.
Well, we had seen that kind of defense out of Gainesville in spurts earlier in the year. We'd see that kind of defense for them for a half, but we had not seen that defense out of them for a full game, I don't think, yet this year. And we saw it Friday night against South Forsyth, and it was the difference in the ball game. I mean, it's not like Gainesville exactly lit up the scoreboard. They scored 28 points, which is going to be enough to give you a shot to win just about any game, but it's not like, they just were running away with it offensively. Their defense just choked South Forsyth out. I mean, you take the McLaughlin kid off the field, and South Forsyth has absolutely zero offense in that game whatsoever. And you talk about the second highest scoring team in Class 7A there. So I don't know if it's fair to expect that out of Gainesville's defense every week. I don't think you should expect that out of Gainesville's defense every week, but we know they're capable of it now. And if they can string that together for a full game at any other point this season, I don't know that there's a team that they can't beat when they're playing that way.
So you and I talked about it on the podcast about Gainesville. Will there be a big game letdown against another very good Forsyth County team in West Forsyth?
I really don't. I think it's impossible to predict with high school kids, but we really, we've talked about that with Gainesville in the past, and, there have been some examples to point to for that. But I really don't think we've seen that this year. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't talked to Heath Webb directly. Maybe he would feel differently if, we talked to him about this specific game. But just looking at it from the outside, I really don't think we've seen a big game week after letdown. People will say, oh, well, they had the big one over Stockbridge and then they lost to Flowery Branch.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's a rivalry game. Flowery Branch is really good.
A lot of different variables in that game.
A lot of variables in that game, and it was early in the season. I don't really think you can put a lot of stock in that. So I don't really think we've seen that out of Gainesville in over a year at this point. So I'm really not too worried about that. If for Gainesville, the big thing to me is going to continue to be defensively. Can they play, if they can play even close to what they played against South Forsyth, I have a hard time seeing West Forsyth beating them.
Well, and that region 6-7-8, just like Coach Webb's talked about all year, going to be a shootout every week, and so far has been the case in Region 6-7-8. Now, the other region, as we roll through the show today, we always talk about Region 7-3A. It's still a 3-horse race, but that's probably going to come down now to a 2-horse race after this week as Bluff and Dawson play each other.
Well, maybe. I don't know that it'll be down to a 2-horse race because, remember, you've got Cherokee Bluff and North Hall this week. So, say you get in a situation where Dawson County beats Cherokee Bluff, but then Cherokee Bluff comes back and beats North Hall the next week. Then if North Hall can beat Dawson County, then you've got the potential for a 3-way tie in that region. So I don't think that this game will decide the region. I don't think it will even narrow it down, but it will be the first piece of the puzzle to get put together because one of these three teams is going to win the region. I don't think they have a 3-way. I don't think they do tri-champions in 7-3A. I'm pretty sure they've got a good list of tiebreakers there, or at least they did a couple of years ago when we had whole scenario with West Hall and White County and Denmark.
So what you're saying is Region 7-3A could be the 2020 presidential election.
It could be. We could be coming down to the Saturday after the final game of the regular season and having to contact the region office to, much like they're doing with the mail-in ballots now, have to go out and see, okay, well, how are the tiebreakers looking? That may be what we're doing. I really don't know. This Cherokee Bluff Dawson County game to me though is, honestly, out of the 3 matchups we're going to get, we got Cherokee Bluff Dawson this week, Cherokee Bluff North Hall next week, North Hall Dawson County to end the season. Out of the 3, this might be the most intriguing matchup to me because the real question to me over Cherokee Bluff is how are they going to do with attrition once they kind of run this gauntlet of Dawson County, then North Hall, then White County, then the playoffs? Because we know they're good, but they're still a young program. Do they have the depth to kind of make it through that run? I don't think we're going to see any of those issues this week because this is going to be the first game in this long stretch. You don't want to kind of belittle Lumpkin County, but they're a struggling team. Cherokee Bluff, I don't think really had to expend themselves too severely in that game, and they were coming off a bye week. So I think Cherokee Bluff is going to be fine physically coming into this game. So it's really going to be a good-on-good matchup of that Cherokee Bluff defense, which is only giving up 4.5 points a game, to Dawson County's offense, which is one of the best and most versatile offenses now, considering what their running game has started to do over the last couple of weeks, offenses that we have in the area. And that really is the matchup that I think is going to decide it.
Well, funny you say that. Texting, that game's going to be on AM 550, by the way. You can check that out. But texting that crew earlier this week, and Gene Anderson texts back, defense versus offense.
Yep.
Now, you might look down, our offensive leaders as far as team scoring goes in the area, and Bluff is near the top in that. Dawson, I think, is around 6th or 7th in the area as far as scoring goes offensively. But when you look at, I guess, the full body of work and what the two teams have gone up against, Dawson started off kind of slow against Cass, and they had some shootouts with Flowery Branch and South Forsyth. So you see how that kind of come down for them. And then you see on Cherokee Bluff's side their body of work and how many points that they've scored. So, granted, they say it's defense versus offense. Bluff still has a good offense.
Well, and nobody, I think, would really argue. I mean, Dawson County played the tougher schedule to this point. I don't think there's really a whole lot of debate over that at this point. Now, Cherokee Bluff, their toughest stretch of the season is coming up right now. You won't be able to say anything about Cherokee Bluff's schedule after the next 3 weeks.
Yep.
But Cherokee Bluff, what we've kind of seen once they've gotten to region play is, and the reason I say that the matchup is really about Dawson County with the high-powered offense against the Cherokee Bluff defense and not the other way around, is because Cherokee Bluff's offense, what we've seen out of them over the last couple of weeks since they've gotten into region play, is an offense that really has been trying to grind teams out. They only scored 7 points in the first half against Gilmer, only 7 in the first half against West Hall, 13 in the first half against Lumpkin, and then they wore people down in the second half just physically and ran away from them. Against Dawson County, the hope is that, if you only score 7 or 13 points in the first half, that Dawson County hasn't already put up 28, and you're in a hole coming out. And then Cherokee Bluff's offense is so based on the run that you worry about if you get in a hole, how could you get out of it? I think the answer for Cherokee Bluff is long, sustained drives when they've got the ball, keeping the ball for a long period of time, letting their defense rest, keeping Zach Holtzclaw and that Dawson County offense on the sideline from getting a lot of rhythm. So, it's a clash of styles, no question, because Dawson County really, they've given up some points in games that they've won this year. They're not going to be afraid of you scoring 28 or 35 points on them. They say, okay, we'll just score 45. Yeah. We'll just do what we need to do offensive. Not that they don't care about defense or that they are, haven't played well defensively in spurts, but that's just how good they've been offensively is they don't mind getting in shootouts. We haven't seen Cherokee Bluff get in a shootout, in part because their defense has been so good, but that to me is the question. Can Cherokee Bluff make it a slower paced game? If they do, I think that favors them a lot.
Well, the game again on AM 550. You can check that one out. Also, West Forsyth Gainesville will, as usual, be on 94.5 FM The Lake and our 102.9 game Gilmer at West Hall in that Region 7 3A matchup. Now, it's time to move on in the show to, Seth's picks. As Seth takes a look around the highlights that we have come in from last week, and he just
Seth, who's going to win Pennsylvania?
Yeah, who's going to win Pennsylvania?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not picking election results here.
No.
Okay.
No.
What are the picks?
They're highlights, Caleb.
Oh,
I thought we established the premise of this segment.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, Bo just said Seth's picks, so I didn't.
Okay. Here's the highlights, folks.
Oh my God! He was not down! No way he was down!
Seth picking the picks, the highlights. And shout out to Kayla Martin and Lauren Hunter, also on the shoot last week with some very good highlights. Okay, now, time in the show. The favorite part of the show for everyone that watches and that is a part of it.
WilHart Team of the Week.
Why is Hart still? How many weeks in a row have I been
You see
doing
what
this?
I have on my computer.
Yeah, what do you have?
You see, I have the Will Hutch Team of the Week.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Until Jeff is back doing this show, then I'm
hearing from Big Voice Guy. He says that all necessary changes need to be submitted in writing and or email form. So that might be why it's
so
not
now
been
you
changed.
need a mail-in ballot.
It's written right there.
I don't need it.
Okay.
I don't need it. Big Voice Guy does.
Oh, okay.
It's written on the screen right there.
Tell him it was postmarked by yesterday. He should get it by Friday.
Will do. I'll tell him that.
Okay. What do you say? What say you?
I say for Team of the Week, I am picking Habersham Central. Big win over Lanier, first time they'd ever beaten Lanier, and they've been playing them now for, a solid 8 or 9 years in that region. So, yeah, huge win for Habersham Central, and not one that I think any of us saw coming. So, for that, I'm taking the Raiders.
And Seth.
I'm agreeing with Caleb.
Oh,
I'm going with
went
Caleb.
that way.
A lot of times I try and I've noticed the pattern that I tend to pick the games that I go to. This game particularly stood out to me, editing the highlights. It just a dominant win. They
didn't just beat them. They ran them out of out of Mount Airy.
Yeah, it just looked like such a dominant win, and that's probably one of the like other than a game that I've gone to myself, that's the first time that I've actually kind of like looked at, this Habersham team and highlights and gone, wow.
Yeah.
You guys rocked it. And so that's my choice is Habersham Central.
Biggest upset that we've had in the area so far this year?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, I would say so too.
As far as with huge meaning. I mean,
it was a region game.
A region game, just a huge upset. Huge. Okay, so Habersham Central wins the popular vote. Let's check the Electoral College. Have we had enough election?
I think we've had plenty.
Show today.
Yeah, we've had plenty.
I think we're good. I think we're all good.
I'm going with Hab Central too. Huge win by them, and it set them up now for at least a third, seed in the state playoffs. I don't think they'll get past a 3 seed, but they have Shiloh and Central Gwinnett left, I think, on their schedule. They should win those easily. They should be the number 3 seed out of that region. So Hab Central doing what they needed to do last Friday to improve themselves in the region standings. And congratulations to the Raiders from Mount Airy. You are this week's
WilHart Team of the Week. I've also heard there's going to be a change in the title of the segment.
Yes, you'll get it by Friday.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'll check my emails.
Yeah, check your emails. All right, guys. That's a wrap for the show this week. That was pretty easy and painless.
Yeah, like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. And
Except the Band-Aid's made out of
the
duct
top
tape.
of Skittles.
Yeah. That's about to run out, by the way. I'm on fumes at this point.
On fumes. Okay.
We're just going to see Caleb fall out of his chair.
I was on election night coverage last night, so I got home at about 1 a.m., woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, so just a little
Can we get some
on the tired
soap opera
side.
music in here?
Yeah. A tiny
I mean, I
violin.
was there too, Caleb.
Listen,
please
what
help.
time did you wake up this morning, Seth?
I did wake up at 9:30, but
Okay, I
I
don't
also
wanna hear
because
it
you
then.
have to
Yeah,
wake up at
exactly.
4 a.m. I mean, it makes you like
Because I get
greatest of the
5.5
great.
fewer hours of sleep than what Seth got.
that's a fair point.
So,
That's a fair point. With all everything being said, I intended to get less hours of sleep, but I missed my alarm.
when you wake up, you're really, at least
with
me,
Folgers in your cup.
when you wake up, at least if you're me, I really don't know how much sleep I've gotten until I look at the clock.
Yeah.
When the alarm clock went off at 4 this morning, I was like, I got no sleep. I got like maybe a couple hours. And
but
I was
you
right.
did get sleep.
Right.
You didn't get no sleep.
I got some sleep.
Yeah.
About 3 hours maybe on the nose, I think.
So what are you doing after the show?
Go home and take a nap.
There you have it, folks. All right, so all of our socials are scrolling down here on the bottom, and also the GoFundMe page for Caleb's sleep apnea.
I don't have sleep apnea. I didn't get home at a reasonable hour.
Sleep apnea?
I don't know. It came to me and I said it. For Seth and Caleb, I'm Bo. Enjoy
coming to?
week number 10 of high school football.